What's up guys, it's Widgeon TV here. So the beta has finally arrived, for Xbox at least. I tried to use my time with the game wisely, by exploring West Virginia and hunting for its famous cryptids. In my last video I talked about the Mothman, Grafton monster, the frog monster, and the Flatwoods monster. In this video we're going to be going over the last few that I spotted on my recent playthrough. If you haven't seen that first video, I highly recommend going and watching it. Alright, so let's talk about the Snallygaster. This creature ended up being quite the surprise, because up to this point we only had a short clip of the creature running straight towards the player, so we didn't really know what it looked like. In my video covering this cryptid, I speculated that it would be something like a glorified mole rat. Well, this ended up not being true. The first time I laid eyes on this horrifying creature, I didn't immediately recognize it as a Snallygaster. It looked like a cross between a velociraptor and a centaur from Fallout 3. It was fast and it shot irradiated spit at you, again just like the centaur. The Snallygaster that I found was hanging around a highly irradiated nuclear waste dump, suggesting that these creatures can be found in other highly irradiated areas, like the aftermath of a player-executed nuclear detonation. Overall, it was a pretty fun creature to take down, but it doesn't really match with the real-life lore of the Snallygaster. It seems like this is hit and miss for Bethesda. Creatures like the Mothman and the Grafton monster are fairly accurately represented in Fallout 76 with their lore and their general descriptions respected. But in some cases, like the Flatwoods monster and now the Snallygaster, it seems like Bethesda just used the name and some very general descriptions of these creatures to inspire the Fallout versions. That being said, we still have a lot to learn about Fallout's version of this creature. Next, let's talk about Carnivorous Plants. After that encounter with the Snallygaster, I continued east to the Cranberry Bog, where I encountered possibly the only patch of carnivorous plants in the entire game. The first thing that I want to say about this area is the fact that it is very dangerous. The area was spotted with fissures where you could find scorch beasts, and fog crawlers patrolled the outside of the carnivorous plant grove. The plants themselves are sundew. In my video about the carnivorous plants, I said they were probably a cross between the purple pitcher plant and the sundew, so it's good to see Bethesda did their homework here. I also suggested that the sundew grove might be some sort of maze, and this ended up being fairly accurate. It seemed that inside the sundew grove there was two different levels. There was one level that was level with the rest of the ground, and there was a subterranean level. When traversing the upper level, the sundew would release some sort of powder, making the air toxic. This, I think, is to encourage you to use the subterranean level, where you are seemingly safe from this illness. I didn't get to explore this area as much as I would have liked to because of how dangerous it was, but from what I could see, there wasn't much to be found here other than toxic hell. Overall, I really appreciate how Bethesda represented West Virginia's Cranberry Glades and brought them to life in Fallout 76. Alright, let's talk about the Mole Man. So in my video, I put forward what I thought was pretty convincing evidence that the Mole Man was no mole at all. I thought these creatures were just mutated humans. Remember, this was before we had any information on it and only had a couple seconds of video of them. But now the truth is out, and I have footage of them. These mole men are fairly short and stubby. The jury is still out whether these creatures are mutated sentient moles or heavily mutated humans that may have been caught underground during the nuclear detonations. These creatures do use arms like shotguns and pipe weapons, along with seemingly handcrafted and improvised melee weapons. Unlike other cryptids, from my experience, they could be found exclusively around the ash heap, but this could be proved incorrect with further exploration. They do seem to populate some of the mines in the area, so maybe we can find some more information about their origins in these unexplored tunnels. Alright, the last cryptid I wanted to talk about was the Wendigo. By the time I entered the mire, which is where I estimated the Wendigo would be, I was running extremely short of time because the beta was coming to an end, and I never ended up finding the Wendigo. Luckily, JuiceHead picked up a quest to kill a few cryptids, including the Wendigo, so I do have some footage to show you. And from this footage, the Wendigo looks terrifying. In my opinion, the Wendigo was always the scariest cryptid here in West Virginia. I don't want to go into the Wendigo's backstory too much because I already made a full video on it, but let me just say that you probably don't want to run into one of these things on your travels. But does Bethesda's version match up with the folklore? Well, not really. Like I said, I didn't see it myself, but from what it looks like, some of the most important parts of the folklore were left out of Fallout 76. Things like how the Wendigo lures its prey by imitating human voices, and how it exclusively lives in cold climates. Besides these things, the Wendigo does at least match the general description of the legendary creature. With further encounters, we can hopefully clarify more about this creature's habits and behaviors. Alright, I just want to touch on the Mega Sloth real quick. We do have some new footage of the Mega Sloth, but this creature seems to be pretty straightforward and in line with my Mega Sloth video. So if you want more information on the Mega Sloth, check out that video. Now, on top of all of these new creatures, I ran into a few creatures that I have already covered, like the Grafton monster and the Scorch Beast. The Grafton monster ended up being fairly expected, so there was no real surprise there. It was a tank, it threw rocks, and it was extremely dangerous. But something that did surprise me was the Scorch Beast. I feel like the early game footage of this creature really underplayed how dangerous they really are. They remind me a lot of dragons from Skyrim, how they hang out in the sky and search for prey, and give off a truly terrifying scream. If I failed to dodge its sonic attack, the Scorch Beast could kill me in a matter of seconds. Even if I could dodge a few of these attacks, the Scorch Beast was very quick, and it could keep up with me even when I was trying to run away, making an encounter with one of these creatures early game almost certainly fatal. So for me, the cryptids of Fallout 76 are still one of the things I am most excited for. If you haven't seen my other videos on all the cryptids folklore, I'll have a playlist linked in the description below. Knowing the backstory of these creatures really gives the fights a lot more excitement, because not only are you killing an enemy, but you're killing a legend. Alright, that's all I have on this update video for the cryptids. I hope everybody enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to like and consider subscribing. It really helps out my small channel. Also consider following me on Twitter. It's the best place for me to keep in contact with you guys. But anyway, this has been Widgeon TV. Thanks for watching, guys.
Almost heaven, West Virginia.